is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. In today's episode, we're going to do things a little bit different from our normal gardening content because we're going to be taking a field trip into the kitchen. We're going to be taking some garlic scapes from our garlic patch here and making a garlic scape pesto with some homemade fresh pasta. And I'm really excited about this because a lot of you you grow your plants and you write in saying, I've grown my plants, but now what? And what I really want to do is kind of fill in some of the now what and give you guys some inspiration and ideas for what you can be making with your harvest from your garden. Because at the end of the day, you're only going to see the financial return if you stop going to the grocery store. You see, a lot of people, I mean, if you grow for novelty, and that's entirely fine. If you grow for novelty, you're ultimately going to be having fun no matter what, and you're going to be seeing a return just in the fun and the therapy of it, because you could go to the movies for 10 bucks or you could grow $10 worth of plants. Like there is that type of person out there. But for me, my garden is intended to save me money on my food bill. And not only that, but put a higher quality, more nutrient dense product on my family's table. And so when I put all of the money into this garden, I want to see a return on my investment. And the only way you can do that is by making food with it and actually making meals with it so you don't have to supplement from the grocery store. So in today's episode, like I said, we're going to be making a very super simple garlic scape pesto with homemade pasta. And yeah, so the reason why we're going to be harvesting our garlic scapes today is because they're starting to go to seed. Now, they're going to form a flower stalk, and that's going to take energy away from the bulbs. And because we're going to be harvesting the bulbs for actual garlic in probably about a month or so from right now, we want to make sure that all of that energy goes down into the bulb to make larger bulbs. So, coming in close, I'm going to show you what a garlic scape looks like. We're going to harvest them all, and then we're going to head to the kitchen. So, following the garlic up the stem here, you'll notice that after a certain point, it'll stop producing leaves, and it'll actually produce a flower. That is a scape. And what we're going to do is we're simply going to take it and break it off. And that is going to make up our garlic scape pesto, but we're going to get a lot of them. All right, so we just got back in from the garden and we got a nice big bag of beautiful garlic scapes. Now these are going to be the star of the show. Got tons of these here, and those are going to taste awesome. Next thing we're going to need to make this happen is we are going to need some all-purpose flour. I'm going to go through just basically a really simple grandma style pasta. It's an egg pasta, so it's just a 2-ingredient pasta. 3 if you include a little bit of cold water, but basically just a 2-ingredient pasta. And then some olive oil for the pesto, some walnuts for the pesto. Now you can supplement this with really any nut of your choice. I prefer walnuts because they're a high-fat nut. They're very inexpensive. You could go with a pine nut if you wanted, but I don't feel like donating my, one of my kidneys to afford some pine nuts. So, so that's the nut of choice I chose. 1 farm fresh egg, a little pinch of some garden fresh basil, Parmesan Reggiano, and then some just salt and pepper. Really simple. So let's get started with the pasta first. We're gonna go with just a simple, like I said, simple 2-ingredient pasta. And then when the pasta is resting, which is really important to let it rest and absorb the moisture, we're gonna be making the pesto. So let's go. All right, so we're simply going to add about a cup of flour, about a 1/2 cup. I find about a cup of flour is about what you could almost cradle in a hand. And then 1 egg. Now, you're not going to be adding any salt or anything to this because you're going to salt the water. Knead this together. It's going to be very dry at first, but it will absorb the moisture of that egg as it sets. And if we need to, we can add a little bit of cold water. But overall, you want a dough that feels kind of like a really stiff Play-Doh. All right, so once it gets pretty stiff, we're going to start to knead it. I just took it out of the bowl here, and we're simply going to just do a fold over itself, and using the pad of your hand, smush it flat. And we're going to knead it for about 5 minutes. While this is getting kneaded though, while this is resting, because it's going to want to rest for about 20 minutes. 20 to 30 minutes is good rest time in the fridge for the flour to fully hydrate. We're going to make the pesto, and then that way we can have the pasta ready to make right away. All right, So now we have our dough ball here. And how you know you're done kneading is basically if you stick your finger in and it has some bounce back, you're good to go. We're gonna set this in the fridge. We're gonna wrap it with some cellophane. And basically, when you wrap it on itself, it should have a nice gluten structure. So it shouldn't be all, you know, craggly and textured. It should have a nice silky texture to it. When you push it, it has a good bounce back. So that's what we're looking at. I'm gonna wrap this up, throw it in the fridge for about 20 minutes. All right, so now while the dough is resting, we're gonna be making our pesto. So we've just got a cast iron pan here. Any pan will work, but something that is going to basically slowly saute and really soften up the scapes. We're gonna add about, I'd say, like a tablespoon and a half of our olive oil, and then our scapes. We're gonna throw these in. Now you don't have to cut them up too much because again, once they're softened and ground up, you're not gonna really notice much anyways. So we're gonna throw our garlic scapes in and just let those soften up. This might take about 3 to 4 minutes or so, but when they look bruised and dark and kind of soft, that's when you know they're done. That's gonna really release a lot of that moisture as well as kind of help to enhance that flavor. Then at that point, we're gonna throw in our walnuts, soften those up, toast those up so it brings out a lot of that nutty flavor. And then we're going to throw them in a blender. So let's go. All right, we're just gonna add some salt, help bring out some of that moisture, some fresh black pepper, and then our walnuts. We're gonna let these kind of toast up here in the pan for probably about a minute or two, just enough to get that nice nutty flavor. All right, so now that these have toasted up here, we're simply going to throw our toasted scapes and walnuts into a food processor. All right, so into the mixer goes the rest of our olive oil. We may have to add a tad bit more depending on how things are looking. We're gonna need a tad bit more olive oil. I'm also gonna scrape down the edges here, make sure everything's nice and smooth. A little more olive oil. That's the money right there. All right, now we're gonna grate about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan Reggiano. All right, and into the mixer that goes, along with our basil. We're gonna add just a tad bit more olive oil to make sure it gets all nice and emulsified. Okay, so we just got our pasta out of the fridge. It's looking really, really good. It's nice and silky, just as it should. Now all we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it out, put some flour down, and we're gonna roll it. Now, this rolling pin has a really great backstory to it. So we were at an estate sale, and I was looking just for some good cast iron pans and stuff to use in the kitchen, and I came across in the pantry, this rolling pin, and I asked the lady running the estate sale, I said, is the rolling pin for sale? She said, yeah. And she said it was actually a pasta rolling pin that it was her mom, the lady that passed away. And she said that her mom immigrated here from Italy and used it to make pasta. So now this is kind of our designated pasta rolling pin. And I just imagine every time I make pasta that there's some Nonna somewhere that was making pasta for, who knows, 50, 60 years with that pin. So yeah, so now we got it nice and rolled out here. We can run it through our pasta maker. We're using the Atlas 150 here. I'm gonna link this in the description box down below. It is an awesome little machine. And I'm also gonna cut this to size because it's a little bit big for what we're doing. So I'm gonna cut this in half here, and then that way I have 2 sheets to run through the sheeter. There we go. So now I can roll this out a little bit more flat yet. So that way it goes through the sheeter. Okay, so we're gonna be using the Atlas 150 pasta maker here. I absolutely love this. It has a fettuccine and a spaghetti attachment. Love it, super great. Just hooks up with a C-clip or C-clamp, and it's got a variable thickness here. I find for most fettuccine noodles, which is what we're gonna be making, I like to put it on a 4 to start, kind of work out the thickness, and then I will go up to about a 6, but no more than that. So we're gonna feed it through. I'll go one more time through on the 4. And then now we're going to move it to the 5, possibly the 6. Let's see, there we go. Let's see what the 5 looks like. Pasta is very much a feel. Sometimes the pasta, depending on the humidity in the air, sometimes it feels like a 5. Sometimes it is a 6. I was gonna mention our eggs were a tad bit small. We did add a couple, I'd say maybe about a teaspoon of cold water, but that was about it. There we go. All right, now we're ready to cut this in half. So we can run through, we can put this through the extruder. We got our water boiling, getting ready to go. Taylor's getting hungry. And we're gonna make some fresh, beautiful fettuccine noodles. All right, and we go into some salted boiling water. Kind of just drape it in there, and there. Give it a little swirl so it keeps the pasta from sticking to each other. I know some nonas will use a little wooden stick to kind of tease the pasta so that it doesn't stick. But that's one of the nice things when it's well floured and it's the right consistency and hydration, it really doesn't stick all that much. So now we're gonna boil this for about 7 minutes. 6 minutes is usually about al dente. 7 minutes because we already have the pesto done. I'm gonna go kind of right in between al dente and fully cooked. So about 6.5 minutes. All right, so the pasta is finished. I just drained it off. I did reserve a little bit of the pasta water. And so all I'm gonna do first is I'm just going to throw this into the pan, get this going. And then I'm going to throw the pasta water in. Now that we got that going like crazy, we're going to throw our pasta in. And then we just gently give it a little flip. Whew. We're going to take our pasta. Just like that.
I don't have an exact word to describe this. It's very good though. It tastes like kind of tastes like spinach almost.
I'm glad you like it.
Like a spinach garlic. I give it a solid. I'll give it an 8.
Okay. I like room for improvement. All right, so that's a wrap. Taylor is wolfing that down, so we're gonna sign off here. That means it was a success. So hopefully you guys try this. Let me know if you tried it in the comments box down below. And it is super, super simple. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care. Bye.